I don't think we are raising children who are adept at handling the adversities that real life is throwing at them. And that is why the Indian cultural stories make sense for a 5-year-old and an 85-year-old. If you don't know who you are, how are you going to go and understand another person from a different culture, different region, different country? You're never going to pay importance or pay attention to where this person comes from. I would say is let children be children. Not all 12-year-olds have to be an entrepreneur. Not all 13-year-olds have to be a star singer on the TV. No, not necessary. They can be children. There is time for them to grow.
Hey there, welcome to MVP, Maximum Viable Podcast. I'm your host Vanshika and today's episode is going to be very heartfelt, which is regarding children and parenting. We all know how important values are for anyone, any human to be thriving and evolving in their own journey of life. Our host today is someone who builds experiential games for kids to imbibe those values. And I cannot force this enough, there's enough nuggets that you can pick from this conversation to be parenting them right, to be educating them right, and overall imbibing great values in them. So here's two great podcasts for you to listen to and would look forward to it. Let's get started. Welcome Charanya to the podcast. We are so glad to have you here with us.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This is so lovely.
Thank you. So before we begin talking about Chittam and everything that you're doing, I would love for the users and the audience to understand your journey as to, how from the global corporate career you've had, right? How did you come to building something so special and what was that like?
So I did my undergrad in Chennai and left India in 2007. I don't want to say that. It's so long ago. So I left. I did my master's in computer science, specialized in game design.
Wow.
And as life would have it, I never got into the gaming industry post that, although I was very, very excited about gaming and 3D modeling, animation. That was really my forte. But my creative spirit was always there. And then I started working for Bank of America and IBM. Did a lot of project management in the corporates. Left the US to do my MBA from NCR. This time it was Singapore and France. And this time, luckily, I got a job with King Digital Entertainment, the makers of Candy Crush, where I was doing business performance management there. It was a brief internship during my MBA time. And I actually wanted to come back to India right after my MBA, but I think life had other plans. I went back to the US, this time in a global leadership rotational program with Wipro. Nice. And this took me across continents. So every 4 months, I would be in a new country, doing a new thing, working with a new leader in the company. That gave me an amazing exposure and exciting experiences doing that. And it was 2017 when my husband and I decided, it's been very, very long time outside of India, and both of us decided to move back to India. So we moved to Bangalore, and that's when I was lucky enough to have a husband who said, I still, want to be in the corporate career, and I could have that flexibility to explore what I wanted to do. Wow, I was very clear I wanted to do something in the education space, but I wasn't sure about what I really wanted to do. I think it came from the fact that I was exposed to different types of education systems from across the globe. And inside me, I always felt the education system in India could be much better. And unfortunately, I didn't know how to make it better. And I started exploring the industry. I was working with skilling sector. I was working with Hippocampus, which is an organization that runs multiple schools and kindergarten centers. And they do it exclusively in the rural parts of Karnataka and Maharashtra. Wow. So that gave me an amazing insight into what children were, what they were lacking in the education system. And so that's where this whole concept of cultural education started.
No, I love that. And I think I'm probably going to shoot this straight, but how much difference do you think has come within whatever years you've seen in the education industry? Because I just feel like lately, even with my extended family and whatnot, right? We see kids being just very smart, very proactive with things at a very young age, right? So, in terms of education, are you seeing the difference from probably like last 10 years, 20 years in that way?
You can say 20 years for sure. I am, I've been following the space for quite a long time. There's been good things and there's been bad things,
I'm sure, yes.
right? The good thing is we are definitely raising children who are a lot more confident, who
Nice.
are a lot more outspoken. As you rightly said, they are more proactive. But I don't think we are raising children who are adept at handling the adversities that real life is throwing at them, which is a sad part. On the face, I'm saying that we are raising confident children, but I'm also saying children are not adept at handling, the
Yeah.
adversities.
Why would you say that though? Like, what makes it such that they're not now?
See, I think fundamentally we are not raising resilient children. Confidence is when you go and you think you can do it well.
Yeah.
But then resilience is what really defines you as a person. When you fail, how are you going to respond to it?
Yeah.
And I unfortunately think today's children are much less resilient than the children of the past.
Do you think it has something to do with parenting differently or the.
I can't pinpoint and say it's only parenting. I would say it's a combination of the style of parenting, what we are teaching children, what we are exposing them to. Clearly parents are struggling too,
I agree, yeah.
right? Like when I was a young kid, my mom could tell something, some fake thing, and I would just believe
Believe
her.
it. I agree.
And today, children are so smart. The first thing they
Yeah.
would go and check is like,
If it's true or not.
would this really cause a tummy ache? And the Google is going to say, not really. A child will come and say, no, this is not going to cause a tummy ache.
Yeah.
And so while the exposure is one part of the problem, I think we as parents are also trying to give too much importance to to terminologies, to things that third persons say. Like for instance, when I was growing up, I remember so many times when my mom used to call my grandmom and ask, hey, Charanya is feeling a little unwell and all that, and my grandmom would say things that would be spot on because she knew me as a child. She understood the desachar, right? Desachar is the what the culture that you have to adapt to in your surroundings. So she understood that the achar, the desachar, and the kalachar, the levels of it, the hierarchies.
Wow.
So her advice almost always worked for me. But today, for a tummy ache, I think parents are more likely to understand and agree with someone sitting miles away in, let's say, France or Netherlands, who is probably allowing the child to play in the snow and say, oh, you know what, that child didn't catch a flu or something. But your desachar is different.
I agree.
Your genes are different. So
Yeah.
it's much more prudent to listen to your elders at home, or at least ask them, than try to figure out all of the answers from the internet yourself. And that's not needed. And it's totally fine to ask help.
No, I like that. So, what actually got you motivated or inspired to build like a company that kind of, works around the, like gaming experiences and like it's rooted so much in Indian culture, right? What got you motivated for this?
It was multi-pronged, I would say. I think I was at the phase of life where I wanted to do something in the education space, and that was the time when my daughter came home as well.
Wow,
So
how
I took
sweet.
a short break, and in my head, if I were to leave my daughter home and go to work, let it be something that is impactful, right? I didn't want to go out and work because I wanted to work. I wanted to do it because I wanted it to have an impact. And around the same time is when I was exploring the education space. And there was one incident, it was a culmination of a lot of things, but there was one day when I went into one of the rural schools. This was in the interiors of Karnataka. And there was this little girl who said, "Oh, ma'am, I've been so depressed." And this girl was in fourth grade. Fourth grade,
Wow.
okay?
Them knowing the word depressed itself is such a big thing.
Exactly, right? We use words so casually. We think, oh, that's what the world has become, so what?
Yeah.
If you use this word versus that word. But no, there is a larger connotation to it. How a child imbibes that, how it changes the way the child thinks and grows
Yeah.
is very different. We should be very, careful about it. But when this child came and said, I was shocked. And I sat with the child, understanding, what was going on. And it was nothing too big in the larger scheme of things. To that child, it definitely was a big thing.
Yeah.
She had a monthly test the next day. And she had
Prepared.
been trying to score above 90, and this child was not well equipped. And she said, I am depressed. For me, that was like, ooh,
What's happening?
yeah, what's happening? And that was not the only incident. It was happening in different ways, right? Children would come and say, I've heard of stories where a child was sleepwalking every time she got stressed. And the stress was, again, because she would have a test or an assignment submission or something like that. But the child really got worked up. I don't know if the child was getting worked up because she set high expectations for herself, or if it was because of what expectations her parents or teachers had. We don't know that. But ultimately, what we know is what we see. The child is sleepwalking when she has a deadline coming up.
Yeah.
And this is just two stories that I'm sharing. I've heard so many stories. I saw children absolutely not motivated. Imagine you and I, when we were studying, a teacher brings to class a game. Imagine how amazing and excited we would be.
It would be like so much out of, whatever the
It
regular
was
day
out
looks
of the
like.
norm. And I took a game to the class, and Chittam was not born then. I took a game to the class, and the children was like, okay, another game, same subject.
Really?
Yeah. See, where is this absolute lack of curiosity, lack of
Yeah.
excitement in life? And I'm talking about children who are 7, 8, 9, right? It's such a sad state.
That's true.
And I felt, okay, something was lacking. And these children were not resilient. They fail once, they're like, oh, ma'am, I'm done. I don't think education is for me. I've heard children say that education is not for me.
My God.
If I'd said that
Oh
to my
my
parents,
God.
I would
There
have
would be 2 slaps right, left, and center. Oh my God.
totally, like, nothing doing. Get back to studying.
Wow.
Right? So that's the problem. We are exposing our children to stories. Like, we hear stories of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates starting something from their garage. How many children here in India have a garage? Tell me that.
Yeah.
Right? It's very unfair for us to compare children and give them exposure and say, oh, they are doing it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Not that you can't do it, but you have to understand and realize that is also, is one in a million, or one in a
The
billion
context, I think,
sometimes.
is very different, right? It's not the right context to even set in.
Perfectly said. What is the context?
Exactly.
Which is our culture.
Yeah.
So the more you have our cultural education, and that was the time I was having my own, retrospection as well. What gave me the resilience to come back after every failure? I've had my share of ups and downs in life, and I've had severe health setbacks, and despite all of that, my body has literally failed me. in the sense, I've had multiple miscarriages. And despite all of that, what is it that gave me the strength? Due to the miscarriages, I was clinically diagnosed with depression, but I was able to come out of it. A lot of things like this. That retrospection was what led me to believe that this cultural rootedness, the stories that I grew up with, the context setting that I had while growing up, really gave me that strength. And I wanted to give that strength to the next generation because I feel it's my responsibility as well.
Wow, this is so nice. I just, again, I don't know if this links to it, but I just think that because you mentioned you had multiple, like rounds of miscarriages, and then you have this beautiful child that I know of, we spoke briefly. So, do you think that kind of pushed you towards being more caring, more understanding towards what is happening in the children's space and education and whatnot?
No, actually, Chittam was born even before my daughter came into
Is
life.
it?
Yeah, yeah. It was not
Wow.
related, but definitely having her has changed me as a person. I'm a
Wow.
lot more patient now, not by choice,
That is what kids
but by
make you.
force. But it's been, yeah, the parenting journey has definitely helped me become a better entrepreneur and
Okay.
better at what I do, and vice versa as well. Being an entrepreneur has also made me a better parent, I would say.
I love that. And because you've done so much research in the Indian culture, the value space, right? What I really want to understand is that, and I think probably this applies equally to children and adults. What are some of the values that you've realized of our culture and system that you think are just timeless and everyone should
I
imbibe?
think every single thing.
I
I'm
don't
a
know why I
big.
felt you would say that though.
No, I think so. See, I think it's. See, this is the problem. We talk about values as if it is something external.
That is very true.
Even in your question, we're talking
Yeah.
about what is that value that you think is timeless? No, it's the way we live, the
Yeah.
way we see the society, the way we incorporate everybody into our lives. That is the value system that I'm talking about. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not about a checklist of values.
Mm.
It's fundamentally the way our ancestors lived, right? I'll give you an example. My grandmother, she studied only till third grade. She is one of the most knowledgeable and wise people that I've ever met. She's 91.
Wow.
Okay, and she is just so phenomenal. I would ask her a lot of questions. I have podcasts like this just with her, because I have always been very curious about how she led her life, because that is something so distant to me. For me, it is like
Yeah.
a fantasy land. She would say things like, she has said things like, she and her father-in-law never made eye contact, never spoke to each other, right? Then the question was like, how do you even communicate?
Yeah.
Right? And very interestingly, she and her father-in-law, when my grandfather was out, I think for work for about 3 months, they lived in the same house, only she and him, and they never spoke a word,
Wow.
but everything ran. The whole house was maintained, everything was done, nothing, the world didn't stop, right? Imagine what kind of an understanding they would have had. And today we are talking to everybody, and still there's so much miscommunication.
That is so ironic. I don't know why. Because, again, when I think of it right, I mean, probably the time, age, and gyan I have in this, which I don't have a lot of, right? So I feel like some of the values were also, like you said, right? They wouldn't look at each other in, eye to eye, right? So, but I just feel like, but what would that change, right? You could do it and it would not change anything, and now we're doing it, but then there's so much of difference. It's just ironic in the most weird way possible.
Exactly. It's not to say that, that was better than this,
Hmm.
but something worked then, and something is working now. And something didn't
Yeah.
work then, something is not. The question is about how are we going to take the good from the past
Yeah.
and put it into the current system and be a better version of ourselves. I think that's what cultural education should do, right? It should make you a better
Yeah.
person. Uh, you know,
Which brings me back to asking, like, again, in today's children, right? I think over the period, things have changed to a level wherein, they are been given different information. They are trained in a different way. They are educated in a different way, right? So, but then again, like you said, you heard a kid say that they were depressed. So, we're advancing as a society to provide all the resources and the best things possible. But why do you think is happening that it's creating, rather, it's not creating, but more problems are happening than before?
because I think we are not creating that self. See,
Okay.
there are multiple aspects to this, right? One is there is a pedagogy on what are you teaching. How are children experiencing it is the second one. The third is how are they going to put it in practice is the third one. There is so much conflict at three levels, right? You teach them from fourth grade, you have AI as a course, right? What are you teaching them? You're talking about AI chatbots and this and that, but um, where is this education to teach children what's right from wrong, right? Is there anything about news about AI? Like, we are all reading about this news on how, Grok kind of demolished the
Yeah.
dignity of a lot of people. We spoke about it, we read about it. Are children aware of it? Do we talk to them in the right way? So there is knowledge which is not which is in conflict with what is in practice. How children experience it.
I
Think
agree.
about how children probably use it for their homework. Um, some people experiment. Some children experiment with it, and sorry, I'm so sorry.
We take it from the yeah.
Yeah. So think about Grok, right? So the AI part of it, we hear a lot of news about it. What our children taught about AI is different from how they use the product and what they experience,
Yeah.
right? So there's just conflict everywhere, and then their attention spans are coming down because of the screen time. So basically, you're not teaching children what needs to be taught. And what needs to be taught is developing that inner self, that conscience, to distinguish what's right from wrong. Is this right for me? Do I look at myself or do I look at the larger picture?
Right.
Why do you think so many of us stand in the traffic signal and when we keep honking? Is it because we think the other people are there to just have a party in the middle of the road? No. We're just
Exactly.
impatient. We don't think about other people. We just don't want to think about other people. We have closed that. And those are the things that we need to teach children. And that's completely absent today. And
I
because it's
agree.
absent, they don't know who they are. They don't know where they are from. They are just growing into global citizen without roots.
That is so well put.
How sad.
How sad that is, right?
And in my head, I had this one clear thought. A lot of people would ask me, why gamification? Why can't you do workshops and all that? I said, if I don't make cultural education cool
Yeah.
and playful, the world is going to make, especially Indian culture, irrelevant for the next generation. And I don't want that to happen.
I agree. I feel, although it's so many things, right? Even yoga, it is literally something that is originated from India in that way. Westernized coming back to Indians and them just because now it's cool is why everyone would flex and go, have selfies in yoga pants and do whatnot, right? So I just feel like I don't know, the influence of the West that has been made in the minds or overall, otherwise, whatever, is just so much that, unless and until it's validated to be cool and accepted, it's otherwise you would not take it seriously. Whatever you already have, you would not take it seriously.
That's the sad part, right? Like when I'm
Yeah.
shouting from my tourist cultural education, that's what I mean. What I mean is children should have a sense of pride
In what they're
in where
doing.
they come from,
Yeah.
where they belong. And that's one problem, right? That's one problem in saying that I don't even know what is India about.
Yeah.
And how can I take pride in it?
Yeah.
The awareness is lacking, and hence the pride is not coming. But the second part of the problem is, like you said, when it goes to the West, the narrative changes.
Yeah.
Today, there are so many people in India who think yoga is all about asanas, whereas asanas are just a part of
Part
the
of
yoga.
yoga, yeah.
Yoga is about living it, right? It's a
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And most children don't know.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, also, our yoga classes mainly meant asanas, and we would all wait for Shavasana. So,
I relate to that so much though.
I think I'm sure we all have done that as
Yeah.
kids. But if only I was taught what this yoga really was, taught a little bit about Ayurveda, I think I would have learned knowing my body better. And there is so much science in that as well, right?
Right. So I have, again, I don't know, I feel like I do have an answer for this, but answer as in my head. Okay. So essentially, I feel too much exposure to the information today that kids have, right, is definitely doing them wrong in multiple levels. But when I think about it, I also feel like it's also the need today, right? Because if your kid is not exposed to the information, then they would lag behind in the run in which all kids are in one way or the other. So again, what do you think can be done to make sure somehow this is established back in the right way?
No, you're absolutely right about it. The information exposure is not. It's a something that we need to do something about.
Yeah.
Right? Because see, what's happening is we are giving them information, so much information, that the little minds are not able to process that.
Exactly.
Right? Imagine the amount of take all the Disney movies, right? They talk about mental health. I am sure you would have seen that meme at some point about how every main character of a Disney movie has a mental illness. As much as it is sounding
Yeah,
funny, but
yeah.
that is the truth also.
That's
My daughter is a big fan of Elsa from Frozen, and she's always in defense of Elsa, while I keep arguing, saying that no, Anna is better because despite what Elsa did, Anna still stood by her and all that. We keep having this
Discussions, yeah.
discussion. One, having the discussion is important, but beyond that, my daughter loves Lord Krishna as much as she loves Elsa. She knows the stories of Lord Krishna as much as she knows about Elsa. Right? Now, when you raise children with your stories, with a very strong value system, I'm not saying you have to tell, you have to be a theist or something, but I'm saying that whatever you believe in, whichever religion you belong to, whatever you believe in, you teach that. The nation building should come first.
Yeah.
The land that you belong to must tell the stories to your child first, not a foreign land.
Yeah.
Right? I find it very surprising. I had an intern. This child was I shouldn't say child. She would really
Be offended.
fire me. But she was 14. She joined me as an intern. We were doing this lovely internship program. At the end of it, she gave a feedback video in which she said, "Ma'am, I just didn't know that Indian emblem had lions, and it was so fascinating for me to learn about all that." I'm like, really? And I asked her, "Did you study elsewhere? Were you abroad, and then did you come?" She's like, "No, I studied in Chennai all my life." I'm like,
How is it possible though?
that's exactly what I'm trying to say. India is probably the only country where children can grow up, complete their education and everything without knowing anything about Indian culture. Because to them, Indian culture are just facts that are on the textbooks that's needed.
Honestly, I just feel like there's no Indian culture has never been, thinking back now, has never been a part of the curriculum as such.
It has been. I wouldn't say it has not been. It has, but again, it is one, it is very less. And two, social science as a subject is only for scoring marks and just passing the grade, right? It's always STEM, STEM, STEM. But you need to know your roots. How can you grow up without
Yeah.
knowing who you are? Right? Like, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to go and understand another person from a different culture, different region, different country? You're never going to pay importance or pay attention to where this person comes from. And this is see, when I was at INSEAD, I studied with 96 other nationalities.
Wow.
My class size was 500, and the students were from 96 different countries.
Wow.
Imagine the diversity I would have seen there.
Yeah.
I have not seen any other uh, any other citizen not be proud of where they come from, no matter how small or big their country was. But I see a lot of that with Indians, and that's very heart wrenching.
I agree.
Right?
What would be your suggestion though? Like, let's assume that whatever we decide on now is going to like really be implemented in the education system or wherever it should be, right? What would be your
Right.
suggestion to like make those real changes?
I'm not saying I'm not against STEM. I have studied STEM and I know that's where the jobs lie and all that. But teach STEM through your local examples.
Right.
Teach chemistry and teach colors and everything through the dyes of the local weavers, whatever they use. Talk about your mathematics theorems and everything. Take a temple tower as an example.
Hmm.
Take the children to a temple and say, where is the shadow? There is this Brihadishwara temple which does not cast a shadow. Right? It's one of the tallest temple towers that we have. Talk about Kailashnath temple when you're talking about a monolith.
Yeah.
Right? Give examples that the children can relate to.
And understand.
Give examples that the children can see for themselves in their region.
Yeah.
Why should it always be that John bought a basket of strawberries and shared it with someone? It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah, Raju can also buy. Why Raju cannot buy mangoes or what? And if he buys mangoes, you can't learn math or what? But I'm also happy that the textbooks have changed
Yeah.
drastically since I studied. But I think there is still a lot more we can do, in terms of upping the skills, upping the levels, and then giving respect to teachers is also important. Let's bring that culture back
I
where
agree.
teachers are not just messengers of knowledge or just facilitators. That's the word they call. They are not facilitators. Let's bring them back. Let's have high quality teachers
Yeah.
who know how to handle children, and let's trust them with our children.
Yeah.
You want to you this is something that I find very funny, right? You take a child, you trust a school,
Yeah.
you put them there saying that, okay, 8 hours in a day, I don't mind my child being in this
Yeah.
place. And then you come back to say, oh my, but your teacher cannot say anything to my child. Your teacher cannot discipline my child. Your teacher used
I
these
agree.
words against my child. My child is. It just doesn't work.
I agree.
Trust people. Bring back the trust in people.
Exactly. I've seen teachers nowadays being so scared of just doing anything. Again, see, there's been instances where something has been wrong because of which these norms were made, but I think they are now doing more bad than good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give you a classic example, right? So, I was in this school, very, very progressive school. The school actually gives a lot of importance to the emotional well being of the children and all that. And there was this little kid. I'm talking about a very, very young kid, 5, 6.
Wow.
Okay. And this kid goes around beating every other child, and they've been dealing with this child since the kindergarten days and all that. And that particular day, this kid has been like really unruly, And there was another child there. I was having conversations, and the child goes, like, in all innocence, the child says, like, oh, he is such a bad boy, I don't want to talk to him. I'm like, why would you say that? He's like, no, he goes around beating and all that. No, if he beats, why don't you tell him that it's not right, or it hurts you that you don't want him? Like, no, no, I told, he doesn't listen. Then why don't you tell your teacher? That child said, even if I tell the teacher's not going to say anything. She will tell us that, he needs more time to adjust and all that. So there is no point in telling. So, in that instance, I was appreciating the school that they were trying to give
Space.
the space for the child to correct himself. But in doing that, they are actually teaching the other child that you have to suck up.
Wow.
Isn't that wrong?
It is absolutely wrong, and I think not enough. I don't know. I don't think so. Enough thought has been put to correcting one thing, and which is leading to another thing being wrong, right?
Exactly. See, the teachers in that school do not shame any child publicly. So when a child complains about someone, they take the other child aside and have a private conversation and all that, which is something that this child doesn't know. And the child is hardly 5, 6. How do you expect the child to have the the maturity to know that, oh, the teacher would have spoken and he will probably. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
For the children of that age, you have to have a common conversation.
Yeah.
Bring them together and say, no, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to make it like a big deal of shaming, then call at least those two children and have a conversation
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do it because they are afraid that they would be shaming that child in front of another child. That's the problem, right? We overthink. We adults overthink. We overcomplicate things. Let's just keep it simple. And you tell me this, if life is not going to be as rosy as, is it?
I agree, and which just reminded me of something. I was speaking with somebody. The hard love that we all have gotten in our childhood is missing big time, and I think that is what is making this generation so soft and so fragile.
Absolutely.
Which is required. I mean, I understand that there were some cases.
See, there were
which-
repercussions to
yes,
it.
Yes.
But why can't we find a balance? Why does it have to be this extreme or that extreme?
Exactly.
When the hardness is needed, it needs to be there.
Exactly.
Those rough words have to be there. You have to have those conversations. You cannot. It's
Do away
just,
with
you
it.
can't do away.
Yeah.
You cannot expect the whole world to be so nice and polite. And when are you going to learn about your own mistakes?
And I think with the time, what this is teaching everyone, or rather leading to, is, people are being less expressive. And which is causing a lot of internal problems.
They're bottling it up, or they're
Exactly.
constantly looking for ways to sugarcoat things. Why do you have to sugarcoat
Yeah.
everything?
Yeah.
You have to be nice to people. I'm not
Yes,
saying no.
yes.
Yes, you have to be nice, but you don't have to necessarily sugarcoat every single thing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
whatsoever. So I think that's where, as parents, ditch these terminologies first. Helicopter parenting, gentle parenting, this, that. There is no one type of parent.
Parenting.
I
Yeah.
always tell this to my friends and people that I speak to. There is, every situation demands a different way to handle it.
Yeah.
And that is what I love about the Indian culture, right? Take every story, any story from the Indian culture, it's all shades of grey.
Yeah.
There is no good person, bad person,
Yeah.
right? There is no right and wrong. The same action is correct in a certain context.
Yeah.
The same action is wrong in a different context.
Agreed.
The same action done by a certain person is okay, but the other person is not okay.
Yeah.
See, that builds perspectives.
Yeah.
No other culture has stories like this. Talk about Panchatantra tales, right? We tell the same kind of stories through animals. Isn't
Yeah.
that beautiful? Take Mahabharata, take Ramayana, take the Puranic stories.
Yeah.
Every story that we tell in our culture is like this. It builds perspectives, it builds the character in the children, and it makes them think, okay, if I were in that situation, what would I do? What do I agree with? What do I not agree with? Right?
But I also feel like, do you not think that parenting in this age and time has become difficult than before? Because I think, like, my mom, for example, or my parents or grandparents rather, no one, I don't think so, taught them how to do whatever to your kid. They just somehow, they saw it around them, they knew some bits of it and whatnot, right?
Okay, I'm going to pause you there and just fix one part of the first sentence you said.
Yeah.
I don't think parenting has become difficult. We have made it difficult for ourselves.
Is it?
I think so. I'll give you this classic example. You know, you're very active on LinkedIn. How
Yeah.
many? I'm sure you have heard this, like, the decision making fatigue in women.
Yeah.
Drawing help from others. I can give you solid examples of women, okay, who don't know how to take help.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just feel like it's something which is like ingrained and wired.
It's
a
not
little.
ingrained.
No.
It is the fear of interference. It is the fear of judgment. It is the fear of, taking orders or taking advice. Okay, I'll give you this classic example. And I make fun of this all the time. My mother-in-law lives in Bangalore and I live in Chennai. She decides what is being made in the kitchen.
Are you kidding?
This is the response, right?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Because you think that's such a blasphemy. How can someone interfere in my kitchen?
More-
But guess
yeah.
what? But guess what? Here's what happens. My cook slash maid, she comes early in the morning. And that's exactly the time when I have my Sanskrit classes. Okay, and I have to get my daughter ready for school, and that's also the time when I sit and plan my day. The last question I want to answer is,
What to
ma'am,
cook?
what do I cook? Okay, and so are all the family members. We are not very picky about the food. As long as it is healthy, home cooked, and is balanced, we are fine. All right, and the standing instruction I have given my maid is, if you don't know what to make, call my mother-in-law. She has my mother-in-law's phone number. So almost every day, my maid calls my mother-in-law, says, okay, these are the vegetables available. Yesterday we made this. Day before yesterday we made this. What do you think we can make? She has that conversation and I don't have a problem with it. If the mixie or the grinder goes off, she actually calls my mother-in-law and says, is there a way I can fix it? Or my mother-in-law will be like, your driver knows this place, give it to him, just get it done. Imagine how much of the mental load it takes off
Everyone
my...
deserves a mother-in-law like that.
No, I don't think mothers-in-law are scarce. Okay? Mothers-in-law, it doesn't matter. You can have any person.
Yeah.
But you should be willing to take advice from them.
Agreed. That
Right?
I think that barrier of accepting help
Huh.
has to be
So when
crossed.
my mother-in-law comes home, right, it's again a standard order. When my mother-in-law is home, I do not answer any question pertaining to the kitchen. I am totally fine. And I will never question saying that, oh, why did you make this today? I don't like this. I trust she will make the right thing for the family. The same way, if she orders something for, I generally don't like cluttering, so I don't order much. But when she is there, she orders a bunch of things to make her life easier,
Easy,
to
makes
make my
sense.
maid's life easier. She does that. I don't go fight with her saying, why did you order? Why are you cluttering the house? No.
Let them do their way.
I have trusted her. I have given her the responsibility. I know she will do the right thing for me and my family. We are family.
I love that.
That acceptance does not happen. And for me, it did not come on day one.
Yeah.
I've been married to my husband for 10 years now. It did not come on day one. It was something that we built over time.
Wow.
right? Even today, like we fight over it, but the communication is there. I tell on the face, Amma, you shouldn't have done that. And she says that same thing to me. She's like, why would you do this? Why are you saying such a word? We have that conversation.
Yeah.
It's no texting. I hate this texting. The only things that I text, or at least within the family, are the logistical things. Like, did you pay this bill? And those are fine.
Yeah. Rest you should communicate.
You just get done with it, because
Yeah.
that doesn't require your emotional energy. But how many parents today, and I am telling this with facts in hand, I know moms who send their children to their in-laws or even to their parents' house with a caretaker, with a nanny. And they give nanny the instructions, saying that this child should not eat this. My mother will ask the child to do this. Do not allow, So basically, they're saying, you can grandparent my child, but here is the rule sheet.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
I agree. And I think exactly going back to that is where we're consciously restricting them to be exposed to things that are needed for their growth and development and whatnot.
Yeah. You are okay with your child watching a fight between, a husband and wife on the television, but you're not okay with your child watching your parents fight?
Yeah.
Something that they are more, they're closer to, something they can relate to.
Yeah.
Because they will take a stand. They will not say it, they will not voice it, but in their head they'll be like, I feel mom did it right, I feel Pati did it right. I stand with it. That's how they develop personalities, not by seeing someone outside, not by watching movies, not by watching reels.
But also, I mean, let me ask you this. It can be a little, I don't know. So, I personally was of the view that parents fight and that relationship should not be exposed to children. The reason being that, they start viewing either one person in a certain light. And for a kid or for a, child, they don't have the right knowledge, context to understand that whether someone is right or wrong.
And you're right about it. You can't expose a child to fight adult fights, right? But what you can express or expose the child to is a very mature talk,
Conversation.
a conversation
Makes
where
sense.
you disagree. It's okay to disagree, right? Like when my husband and I have conversations, yes, just like any other husband and wife, we also fight. Sometimes I raise my voice. Usually it is me. My husband is like super soft spoken. So my daughter always, immaterial of what the fight is, even before I have thought in my mind that I should raise my voice, she's already in favor of my husband.
Yeah.
Okay, to her dad is this hero and he can never be wrong and all that. In the heat of the moment, that annoys me. But what I understand is, she is not really looking at it as a disagreement. She is looking at it as a fight. But there are times when my husband and I have actually sat down and discussed a few things, and we have, disagreed. Those times she agrees with me. She will go and tell my husband like, no, but mommy was right. Why did you say no to that? But mommy was right. We should have done that. Right? Children are like that. It's a lesson for parents. It's
Yeah.
not a lesson for children. The way children view the world is so astonishing. So astonishing. And, some small things that I as a parent do, right? I also learn new things every day. Like I take classes.
Yeah.
Like I don't teach, I learn.
Learn.
I go for classes where I learn. Be it music classes or be it my language class that I've started. So when I do that, it's very exciting for me because I kind of understand what my child must be going through sitting in the classroom.
That's so nice.
Else we have forgotten, right? It was 20 years back that I was in a classroom. I don't remember much of what happened then.
Yeah.
But now when I'm sitting again in the classroom, I just, I drift away, I daydream, I don't finish my homework on time. So there is that guilt and all that. Sometimes I don't feel like studying. suddenly there is that emotion that I relate to. But unfortunately, parents don't have time today.
Yeah.
And grandparents are not available.
Yeah.
Where will the child go? What will the child learn?
I think, this has been such an enriching conversation overall. And before we move on to our mic drop segment, one last question that I would want to ask is, so can we give the parents or the teachers some tools, some guidelines, some rules, whatever you have seen has worked with these kids, right? To make sure that there is better value incorporation, there's better, like overall roots for them to stand on.
Absolutely. See, there are three things that I actually follow when I am dealing with children. One is we have to limit the exposure. See, the brain development of a child happens in phases.
Okay.
Okay. And there are certain information that they can process at each age.
Very interesting.
And that is exactly how we all grew. Imagine uh, when we were young, right? The way the concept of death was communicated to us when we were 5 years old was very different. We would
Yeah.
have lost, our grandparents, great grandparents at different points in time. The way our parents or even our grandparents communicated death to us when we were 5 was different from when the same thing was communicated when we were 10. And then at 15. And then you grow old. Okay? Death is death.
Yeah.
It's a loss of a person. But why did they take different tactics to communicate that to us at different age?
That is such a nice example. It has
Because
to make sense.
your brain should be developed enough to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And that is why the Indian cultural stories make sense for a 5-year-old and an 85-year-old.
Wow.
Right? Because your perspectives are different, but they are life lessons.
Yeah.
So the first thing is limit the exposure of content to the children. The second is communicate. Right? Communication is absolutely absent. There was one person who came and told me when I started Chittam early on, like, why are you doing board games, card games? You can make like digital games. Children are onto it. And I said, it really doesn't bring the family together. Still, there is a divide. He said, no, look at our family. We all sit and play video games together. I said, okay, you all sit and play video games together, but you're still all looking at the screen. You're not looking at each other.
Yeah.
Where did the eye contact go?
Yeah. So it's
Right?
family time, but not
It's family
exactly
time.
family time.
But as a family, you're watching a movie. As a
Something, yeah.
family, you're watching the screen. But imagine while doing a board game, you're sitting across the table from each other. You're looking at the body language. I want to know if you're lying or not, even if
Yeah.
it's just a small game of bluff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm trying to, figure out from your body language, the eye contact, expressions. Look your children in the eye and talk. Talk a lot.
Yeah.
Right? That's what children crave for. The third thing I would say is let children be children. Not all 12-year-olds have to be
love
an
that.
entrepreneur. Not all 13-year-olds have to be a star singer on the TV. No, not necessary. They can be children. There is time for them to grow. Let's give them the time to grow. It's
Yeah.
okay.
It was so funny. There was this conversation wherein someone said, what? Children these days, they don't have a childhood.
Yeah, they don't.
It's like, and it is so sad. I was just thinking about it that, as much as, again, I would consider myself as ambitious as whatever I was, but I just feel like, I would have not been very happy if I didn't have a childhood.
You would have been a completely different person.
Exactly.
Right? Children should be children, and that's probably why we see, adults wanting to rekindle the child
My
in them. It's
God,
good to have
it's
the
so
child
true.
in them, but then they take it a step further also, which is
I have seen that happen, and literally we were one of my friends were discussing about somebody that, and because we know them very closely, that because they lagged doing all these things in their childhood, now they're doing everything in their capacity to do that, which is nice. Yes, you can, but then the kind of innocence, the kind of whatever you have at the time, right? It's
Correct.
different than now. So good, you're doing it. You should do it because
Correct.
it's in your heart that you want to do it. But it's just that
You can't recreate everything also.
exactly.
But children should
There's a
be
time.
children. Yeah. Let the innocence be there.
Be there.
Let the innocence linger for some time. Let them say the words wrong.
Yeah.
Let them get their sentences wrong. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's such a cute. It is now I feel like, oh my god, my daughter is starting to talk really nice. I want that Maralay back. So I really want the baby talk. And
Okay.
yeah, you can't go back in time and fix it. So enjoy while it lasts.
I agree. It has been such a nice conversation. So,
Likewise.
with that, we'll move to our MVP's mic drop segment.
Okay.
Idea is that there would be 3 questions. It's like a rapid fire wherein I want you to answer like your heart out rapidly, but would ask for your reasoning as well associated to it.
Got
So,
it.
we'll start with that.
Got it.
So, the first question is, what is that one book, and I ask this to everybody, what is that one book that you kind of swear by?
Mahabharata.
Wow, and again the reasoning, yeah.
I think there is no other book that will give you life lessons the way Mahabharata does.
And do you think rather, are your games also like inspired from that a lot?
Definitely, Mahabharata, Ramayan, Puranas, the culture, everything.
Wow.
So, but Mahabharata is my favorite, and every time I have an emotional turmoil, I've seen that Mahabharata always has answers for me through one character or another.
Wow. Nice. The second question is, if you were to associate one emotion with your venture, what would that be?
Now that's a tricky one. um, Happy and reflective, if I can choose to.
I'll give you that. That's so nice though. And which makes me think I should have asked you more about it. But anyways, next one. So the third question is, what is that one lesson that you feel you should have probably learned earlier in life?
None. I think every
Wow.
lesson comes to me at the right time. If it had come earlier, then probably I would not have had the mind space to take it. So I think whatever happens, I think it happens for the right thing. Or at least at this point in my life, I'm at a stage where I believe that what happens is happening for the right reason.
I love that. This has been such a nice conversation so far.
Likewise.
Before we wrap, I would love for, again, if there's any message, anything that you would want to relate to the parents and the teachers watching this, right? What would that be?
I don't have any one message, but if what I do resonates with you, come join the movement. Let's bring childhood memories back to children.
Love that. Thanks a lot for being so candid, so real, and this has been such a nice conversation overall. Thanks a lot for this.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Okay, so we'll start with the game. We can shuffle, right? Yeah. Ramay,
Ramabhadraya,
Ramchandray,
Vedase. No, that was Ramabhadraya.
Raghunathai,
Nathaya,
Sitaye,
Sitaya Patiye,
Patiye.
Namaha.
Okay, missed.
Ramaya,
Rambhadraya.
Ramachandraya.
I'm learning.
Okay, next time I'll let you win.
Yes. We shall not.
Ramaya.
We'll cut this part. Rambhadraya. See, but actually one, no?
You actually did.
I did, right? Yes, great.
All right, one last round.
Yes.
Ramaya.
Rambhad.
It's okay.
1-on-4, not bad for the first game.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for bringing this, and this was so nice. And guys, I mean, you can obviously buy all of this. Thanks a lot for tuning in and watching the episode till the end. If you liked whatever was shared, whatever insights were there, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and do let us know what all topics you want us to cover for the next one. Until then, let's keep maximizing.